So, I'm telling everybody that seems to be sensible that I come across these days, if I get a minute with them, alone and I'm not holding everybody up, if there's a second to spare and they seem sensible, I stop and I ask, and just real quick, most people I ask are aware of the moon mission, but they are not always, like, almost no one's aware of the date that it was on, and that's if they were even aware of the moon mission at all. So most people have no clue what's going on, most of the time, right? Because that's kind of a big deal. That's where I start with most people. I'm like, you do the math. Don't take my word for anything. But if it's on April Fool's Day, I'm doing some math for you there. Just keep that in mind. What do you think? I'm not here to guide you all the way. I can lead you to water, but I can't force you to drink. You gotta do a lot of this yourself. I had to do everything all by myself. I was entirely alone as I found all this information out. Okay. The next thing I say, first I'm like, were you aware of the moon mission? Okay, well, I try to figure that part out. Were you aware that it was on April Fool's Day? All right. The next part, I say, if you ask me, flat Earth all day, and then I back it up. I say, you should remember through art class, perspective drawing, they only ever give you a flat, straight edge ruler. Okay, so I'm saying flat, straight edge Earth. I almost want to name my channel that. I almost need to put that name up. Flat, straight edge Earth. You should get the picture. You have to know how to draw in order to actually see the flat Earth. Okay, the Pixar runs on flat, straight edge ruler rules. Rockstar Games runs on flat, straight edge ruler rules. The Earth works on flat, straight edge ruler rules. Get the picture? Do you know how to draw pictures? I know how to draw pictures. I used to draw skateboarding pictures. I would just look at I'd flip through Trans Worlds or Thrashers sometimes, mainly Trans World. So, and then, I did a little bit of Skateboard Mag, but I was more so in the day of Trans World skateboarding. And the only way I knew how to do any of that and make it look good, and I could teach a retard how to draw whatever they want at whatever distance using a flat, straight edge ruler. This should tell you everything. And then upon all the other stuff that you should be able to go research and verify, or do the math yourself on, like the fact that the one place that we don't fight each other on, all the countries come to an agreement that regular riffraff people like you and I on YouTube can't go to, is anywhere past the South Pole or the North Pole. You're not allowed on the North Pole at all. They only let you in certain parts like Deception Pass and then other nonsense like that. Rothschild Island and stuff, whatever. You get little pieces, they show you penguins, they turn you back around, send you back up into the Northern Hemisphere where everything is revolving around the North Pole. You can go north and south all day, zero corrections. If you go east or west, you're going to constantly correct north. This is the way it works. The SR-71 Blackbird, take a look at it. It's designed for lateral G-forces and then horizontal G-forces forward and back, right? So only lateral G-forces, basically. Only front to back, side to side. That thing, look at it. There is zero design work for G-forces up, okay? So if you're flying in a... People argue with commercial jetliners that take riffraff like you and I around throughout, the air. There's arguments that they don't burn fuel once they get up into the sky. They run on free ether tech. Makes sense. All the fuel numbers they spout out is money laundering. Okay, check that out. You can go down that rabbit hole. That's just a potential rabbit hole. It's lightning ball tech. If you ask me, this is a big connection that no one's ever going to give me credit for. Is that lightning ball tech is lightning storm generator tech, Malcolm Bendall lightning storm generator, which takes all of its information from the Great Pyramids, Egypt, that were lightning storm generators. Okay, I'm I'm really hot on this trail, and no one's ever going to give me credit for those connections, even though I'm the one that told you that right now. That's a big one. Lightning ball technology, all the plasma orbs, the MH370 flight from 2014 that no one wanted to talk about but until after COVID-19, once everybody's family got divided cleanly. You know, if you got the shot or the jab, then, you know, those people talk to each other. But if you didn't get the shot or the jab, you needed your whole family to be on that boat. Otherwise, you got exiled entirely like me, and you're just kind of on the outs. So I'm just spouting all this off as fast as I can possibly do it, in the most sensible way I can possibly do it, because I need to get my message out. Everyone thinks that I'm just, you know, spouting off over here, but it's like, how much homework do I need to do for you? How many do I need to take you straight to the back of the book? You know, because you're going to have to figure out how to do some of this math yourself. Don't take my word for it. Don't take anybody else's word for it. You have to go prove it to yourself. You've never seen the curve, because there is no curve. The salt flats in Nevada do not have a curve. The SR-71 Blackbird is not designed to take curves, okay? People argue with commercial jetliners that, do you ever nose down? You know, they never nose down. How about an SR-71 Blackbird that goes, you know, thousands of miles an hour, so fast that it stretches laterally, only laterally 3 inches. It does not get fatter, you know, like they're bragging about the lateral measurement change, not any kind of G-force change up. Like, they don't train people to fly an SR-71 Blackbird to withstand G-forces from nosing down over the earth. Like, you would I bet there's zero G-forces, you know, throwing you up from having to nose down because you're going thousands of miles an hour when there's earth curve in 1 mile, supposedly. If you go to the measurements, in 3 miles, it's a pretty decent amount of curve. Everyone goes to the 3 mile one because the 1 mile is like, you know, it's not much to talk about, right? At 3 miles, you have a decent amount of a measurement that you should be have an obscured view. And this is all shot down with the Nikon Globe Killer. You can bring a boat that has supposedly disappeared over the horizon back up with a strong enough lens on this Nikon Globe Killer. You can do the same thing with the sun. Explain that. How come shadows never point up? They don't, you know, the sun never sets low enough to give a shadow that points up, because it never drops, okay? That should tell you the sun and moon are local. They couldn't land on the moon because you can't even fly around it, which is why they needed you to buy that on April Fool's Day. Get the picture. There's oceans deep in the oceans. Air is just another water. We're breathing another viscous water. There's no gravity. It's electrostatic buoyancy. All right? You got a lot of this. I figured out a lot of targeting stuff through researching MH370 over MQ-9 Reaper drones that can pull up any random person's information. It's how they found the soldiers in the middle of the desert using a heartbeat murmur thing. However you want to tackle that one with the MQ-9 Reaper drone, how it did that. It can do that over the city, and since everybody here has a Facebook, you know, and then a criminal record, this is on the Ashton Forbes channel, okay? He was like, wow, this is crazy. An MQ-9 Reaper drone can take anybody's facial recognition, pulls up their whole profile, and has a giant list of how to ruin your life. That is targeted individual stuff. That's why I'm saying everybody's targeted. I'm just hypersensitive to the fact, and they do mess with me even more so than most people because I pay attention more so. Not only do I pay attention, but I know what it is. Like, you might notice some of this stuff, but if you don't know what it is, they're not really going to mess with you too much, as much as they do with me. Like, trust me on this, okay? My parents were in Europe listening to an REM concert, most likely singing "It's the End of the World as We Know It, and I Feel Fine." At the same time, the KLF was staging a fake massacre over their audience, which should, you know, be akin to the Las Vegas shooting, which, if you believe in the shooting, there's footage of military helicopters with muzzle flash. So if they actually did kill people, it's more than likely that was only capably taken care of or done by military helicopters. There's no way one guy through a window up in a hotel Go watch the video recordings. You think somebody did that from a handgun? That's a rail gun from multiple helicopters, okay? If it's real. Flashback to KLF when I was being born in Europe and my parents are at the REM concerts, end of the world as we know it, and I feel fine. The KLF is doing the fake massacre. They burn 1 million pounds on live TV afterwards. They say we're pulling all of our music and artwork down. You're never going to hear of us you're not going to hear of us or see our art or images or videos or anything about us for 20 years. We're going on a hiatus. All right? I had to dig this up on my parents and grandparents. Nobody told me this stuff. I had to find it, researching water pathways and how the pyramids of Egypt were most of the power, or a good portion of the power, came from hydropneumatics. A lot of the tools in the hieroglyphs match hydropneumatic tools from a dentist. Almost identical, along with all the anatomy connections and how really they're just chemical refineries, powered by water as well. The natural movement of large bodies of water being taken advantage of could power the entire world. If you're not akin to that whole idea, go check it out on Ancient Vacuum. That's where I found the information on the KLF. So, they disappear for 20 years. They come back in an ice cream truck, signing t-shirts that say W2F is going on, and the guy that does the video on this return of them coming back in an ice cream truck, selling yellow shirts, he says, what, mind if I ask what the fuck's going on? They just say, hey, you need to get out of here, sir. You're done here. All right. Bear that in mind, because they put out a song when, my parents were singing along with REM, End of the World song. They had a song out already called Ancient and Justified that goes on to, they're like, oh, you're bound for Moo Moo Land. Decode the song. Moo Moo Land is the city of Atlantis. So they go on to say, this is me quoting lyrics from the song. This is not me spouting off. All right, I don't spout off. I'm only here sharing hard, factual information from stuff my grandparents should know. But I'm over here giving my grandparents and my parents' haircut. My whole family's bald after this one, along with anybody at the same knowledge base. So, they go on to say, listen to this, because you can check this out. Ancient Justified. Oh, bound for Moo Moo Land, decode it. We built the city of Atlantis. We destroyed the city of Atlantis. So there you go. City of Atlantis is real. You can solve that world fucking mystery. I've got that covered for you. I did all that groundwork for you. I did all that footwork. I took you straight to the back of the book for that one. Just hang on with me here. Because the lyrics go on to say, we built the city of Atlantis. We destroyed the city of Atlantis. We built the pyramids of Egypt. We destroyed that fucking civilization. And we rule the world today using an ice cream truck from your neighbor's house. Which I made a video before I even found that channel that told me about the KLF and the ice cream truck, about me getting messed with from ice cream trucks on my pool routes. Bear in mind, you name it, anywhere in Phoenix, anywhere in the valley, anywhere in Arizona, in the general valley area, from Sun City all the way over to Casa Grande, I've either stayed there with my grandparents in an RV, or I've skated it, or I've pressure washed it, or I've painted their house, or I've cleaned their pool, or I've sold weed in that area, or I've just been over there on my own. Or I've given a Lyft ride there, or I've delivered food there with DoorDash or Uber Eats. So I permanent RV'd with my grandparents. I've driven all over the West Coast. I have enough time on the road and behind the wheel myself. I've had a car since I was 15 years old. I'm going to start this list off of cars. I've been homeless 5 years. Bear in mind, I'm only 35. Get this. I do better than most people with a dang good job. You hear this list of cars I'm about to spout off, I might miss a couple. Started off with a 1991 Pontiac for $1,400 when I was 14 years old. The next car, $3,000 Nissan Sentra 2001. I held on to that car, and even though my grandparents had a perfect place to park it at their house, I lost it after I got a Volkswagen GTI, who my girlfriend ditched me out on before I could finish the payments. She's like, he's not spending money. It's like, yeah, because I'm trying to pay off a huge loan. You stupid cunt. So listen up here. I had a Volkswagen GTI Turbo and a Nissan Sentra at the same time. I had to sell the Sentra for $500 because my family wouldn't help me park it. All right? Which my grandpa had plenty of room, but my grandma was maybe the problem, right? Typical. She's a state worker, right? My grandpa's a welder. What do you think happened there? Plenty of other family with plenty of other room to help me out with that, but I had to kick it out because I got ticketed while it was parked at an apartment complex. I'm going to keep going with this list of cars here. You just bear with me. So I had the Sentra and the Volkswagen. I was maintaining them both. I kept them both running. I was taking them to the car wash across the street. I made sure it wasn't the stinky foot of the neighborhood, all right? But I still got a ticket even though I hid the license plate. Someone sniffed out my tags and tried to give me a tow notice. So instead of, calling my family and getting on my knees, which I already did what I could, I was like, grandparents, you can help me out with this? No? All right, well, that's as far down on my knees as I can get. And with, like, I can tell everybody my situation. But anyways, the list of the cars. I lose the Sentra. While I'm working, I struggle with money. I lose the Volkswagen GTI. While I'm trying to maintain my painting job, I pick up this ridiculous sale for a $1,000 Chevy 2500 yellow. Bear that in mind. That was on purpose. They made that available to me because it was such a hunk of junk. I barely drove it, and I encountered numerous insurance fraud situations just from driving that truck. Believe me, that thing was stinky. All right, because they go on later to hit me with a yellow Scion XB and torture me with a yellow school bus later. Okay, I can get into those details maybe in another video. We'll see how fast I can cover all this. So I realize how much insurance fraud is going on because of this yellow truck, which I knew was stinky. I knew, it was like, this is weird. Like, I need a vehicle for $1,000. This thing just pops up perfect, right? Oh, it's perfect work truck. It was so cheesy. I knew the insurance fraud was going on. Like, I'd never experienced insurance fraud, and it all felt like insurance fraud. I was, when you're getting it. So I trade that in for a 2010 Ford Focus, of which the transmission blows out. Talk to anybody with a 2010 or, in between 2000 and 2010. Any car, any mid-sized car running these specific transmissions, a lot of people don't get to the transmission tune and it fries the whole transmission, which is insane. You never heard about that you did not hear about that with 1990s vehicles the way you hear about that with vehicles after the new millennium, okay? Anyways, the 2010 Ford Focus lasted me a good while. I actually paid that off, and I should have been able to keep it, but I needed a truck for work. I needed a good truck for work, and I couldn't get any money help, so I had to trade in a paid off vehicle for $1,000 that was way not even close to the value of what I paid. So I get into the F-150, and that thing gets a cracked oil pan, kind of like I was sold the Volkswagen with a cracked oil pan that had JB Weld on it. So this is kind of a future beck and call out. Cracked oil pan on the F-150, could not get it serviced, blew the motor. Trying to work and get money to fix it, okay? I'm driving that thing around trying to make moves to get a new vehicle, and it completely tanks on me. All right? But as it's tanking, I locate a Ford Explorer. The Ford Explorer I do pools with, I end up pushing it between my pool routes, and I get nasty pool routes all over the valley, lots of driving, insane to be pushing a 1990s Ford Explorer when you have dogs in the car between pool routes in the summer in Phoenix. All right, but I did it. And then they eventually snipped the clutch cable so I couldn't push start it, or do any. It was a stick shift, so I had some workability even if they were messing with the mechanics. But they cut the clutch cable, and it essentially made that vehicle worthless. Then of which I got help with the down payment on or somewhere in there I did a Ford. Yeah, I'm missing cars. Because I'm missing the first bottom out. So I had a Nissan hardbody. I'm gonna forget all the prices now because I'm out of order. Nissan hardbody, Chevy Cavalier. The Chevy Cavalier got hit by a yellow Scion XB in a four-way stop at the tip top of Cave Creek in the northernmost part on Cave Creek Road. It's a really elongated four-way stop, so you can imagine there'd be issues there, but I was dang near done with the intersection. This old lady in a Scion XB supposedly didn't see me and took out my rear axle. I didn't know it was not functional. I tried to let her drive away without doing the insurance thing, but once I couldn't drive home, I had to pull out her insurance card and run it against her. That was what that was. So I got hooked up with a cheap price on the Cavalier. My hard body that I got working for my painter friend had a coolant leak that I couldn't tackle in time and blew the motor, and that's what got me into the Cavalier. Forget what happened after the Cavalier. The Cavalier might have predecessed the yellow F-250. I believe that's the order. So yeah, because I lost the Volkswagen, got into a hard body. I borrowed that we won't count that. I won't count a borrow. It was only a week or two. But yeah, so let's see. I get the Ford Focus. And then I do the F-150, a Ford Fiesta, then a Ford Flex after someone totaled my Fiesta parked on the side of the road inside of a neighborhood on a random Thursday night real early in the afternoon. Did the whole drunk driver card and totaled it. Then I traded in for the Ford Flex. Ford Flex, they got me driving around in a parking lot at night, trying to find a good place to park where no one could park next to me. Ended up running over a parking block that blew my radiator, of which I was super gluing on the Ford Flex, with JB Weld. And as soon as it ran too hot in the summer, the leak was on the top. It would just pop the glue and it leaked, and it eventually enough air got into the transmission, it locked up the Ford Flex. So at that point, my family my mom turned me into the mental hospital, and they told me they're going to hold me in the mental hospital for months on end, maybe even a year or longer, until a judge could go before me and break down the whole situation, of which I gave him the middle finger the whole time, turned down every program in class, turned down every needle and pill. They talked to me, I presented a level head, they let me out in 72 hours, because I'm not crazy, because the whole mental institution is fraudulent. It's all hearsay, it's all based on what somebody else thinks, not on actual scientific, measurable anything. Okay, it's just someone observing behavior in someone that they don't like, and it's like, well, that's just your opinion, man. The rug really pulls the room together, but that's just your opinion, man. So get this: mental health was designed for people who didn't go along with all of the resets that have occurred. Go look at all of the dead bodies in all the catacombs. They're only showing you a little bit, and it's millions of bodies, right? All done at once at the same time, right? They didn't actually kill everybody in the Holocaust, because there wasn't actually 6 million Jews, but they did kill a lot of Christians before that, and you don't hear about that from the Bolshevik, if I'm saying that correctly, where they killed a bunch of Christians. Just to let you know that you're not being sold the right numbers on the right stories. They're making sure you ignore the right stories and take false numbers on the dumbest stories, and you stick to your guns on the stupid stuff, okay? Moon landing, April Fool's Day, get with the program. 2 planes did not take out the Twin Towers. You did not find two passports from the planes while 2 towers got vaporized and then another tower got imploded very cleanly from the very center, just from fire alone, along with other buildings that seemed to implode. And a plane did definitely not fly into the Pentagon, so get with the program here. Back to my car list. Ford Fiesta gets taken out synthetically fast. That's totally a setup. Like, who smashes in, totals a car in a neighborhood on a Thursday night because they're so drunk, Like, I was inside eating a pizza. I was barely there for a few minutes and someone totaled the car. Like, I was parked on a street large enough to park cars on both sides in a slow Phoenix suburban neighborhood right around 32nd Street and Thunderbird, to be exact, or Shea. Not like it's regular full-size streets. No reason I should have totaled a car there. Oh yeah, so I lose the Ford Flex, even though I could have just taken some money in for a warranty and gotten it all fixed up, kept my pool job and been floating right along, kept my dog and everything, been all fine. Gravy, good to go. Flash forward, the next vehicle I'm able to get is only, if I'm correct, I feel like I'm still missing some. I had a Ford Ranger that my pool boss loaned me enough to get into. And then the next vehicle I get is I get a Scion XB because I get hit by a truck. I get 18 grand while I'm homeless for 800 bucks before I can even drive it to a store to like buy something I need real quick and then go to a mechanic. I should have gone to a mechanic right away. I needed to stop somewhere in the area, and then I was gonna do the mechanic work. I had enough money. It broke down, got ticketed. They towed it before I called Wheelsy, got a quote, told them to come out the day that they were supposed to come out. Somebody came and towed it for free. I bet it was Wheelsy. They just didn't pay me. That's kind of, it's like, you know, you got to be careful how soon you hand out an address for a vehicle that needs to be towed to a company that pays next to nothing for it to begin with, because that guy could have gotten the cash for the vehicle, just saw me and is like, I'm not going to deal with this guy, I'm just going to tow it and keep his money. So bear with me on that one. Then I'm like, all right, fine, I need to spend some legit money. I need to actually try and get a decent car here, one that actually is reliable. So I need to spend more than 3 grand. So that's when I get the Flex. Take it, get it limo tinted with ceramics so I can deal with the heat in Phoenix. Before I can find anybody to register it to, I stopped to take a dump somewhere, of which I never leave evidence of. I always clean up after myself. You can't even tell what I did. You shouldn't even be able to see me or tell what happened. And usually I'm gone by the time anybody can do anything. As soon as I'm done, like I'm barely wiping my ass, they title jumped me before I can get back into the car. Cops gave it to the owner. Supposedly someone's, sold the vehicle without notifying the owner. They said the guy was dead or dying, or it was her dad, and there's the last thing to remember him by, so they just wanted to get rid of it. Didn't really make any sense, but I couldn't do all the police work and give them check IDs and all that. I get that Ford Flex. They title jump me. I take more money. I get another Ford Flex, I believe. If I'm not, I don't think I skipped one here. And the Ford. Wait. No. Okay, so I get into I don't have a lot of money left. I go get a Mercedes E350, which is a really nice car. It's as nice as the Ford Flex. If not, it's actually nicer. Drives nicer because of the Mercedes suspension. And it had a panoramic roof. They knew that car was way too good for doing DoorDash and living in. Once I sprayed the back windows, it had the UV reflective layer that Mercedes puts on their cars with all the options on them, or at least a decent amount of options on them. So that, in combination with my professional smoke job on the inside of the window, it was private in the back. They had somebody, just like they did with the yellow Scion XB, total my car in a 4-way stop. It was a yellow light, and I was trying to continue. Someone tried to finish their left turn before the yellow light finished in front of me, rather than letting traffic clear. And your left turn's either yellow or red, depending on how this works. Like, if you want to be safe, you aim for the rear end of the last moving car in the opposite direction. You have to wait for everybody to stop, or try to go behind them. But don't try to beat them, that's for sure, because you end up with what were they thinking? I was going to turn in the first lane, or even doesn't matter which lane they thought I was turning in. There's no way you're going to make the turn at the same time as somebody else. You still need to watch the other direction turn before you make a left turn, even on a yellow, almost red light, or even if it's red. Like if you're out in the middle intersection, you took the gamble. All left turns are illegal. Get the picture. Get with the program here. All right, I don't need to take any more driving classes. I took enough when I was 16. Okay, so I drove my girlfriend's. I'm not gonna talk about vehicles I drove. So get this, I do the Scion XB, barely last. Get a Ford Flex. They title jump me. I do the Mercedes. They total it. I should have gotten $5,000 on the Mercedes that I paid $1,800 for, but they only paid me 50%, even though it was 100% the chick's fault who turned left in front of me, quoted by Phoenix police. Okay, Phoenix police said it's 100% her fault. Insurance only paid 50%. I still made $400 on that deal, of which then I took and got a Ford Flex for $2,000. Which did really well, but it was such a low rider, it didn't handle all the construction that just so happened to pop up as soon as I needed to do Uber Eats. Just enough to get me a flashy ticket so that I could lose my Uber Eats account, of course, after 9 days, after making a couple grand. Getting stuck to DoorDash, which only is better than Uber Eats if you can become a Platinum Dasher, which is actually really hard to do. If you're not like akin to that whole idea as soon as you sign on. I had no idea how sensitive that app was. And I was like, Uber Eats is way better, so I just ditched it. But then I had to come back to it. So I lose the Mercedes, buy the next Ford Flex, drove it till the wheels fell off. I ended up selling it for $200 out of a parking lot so that the city didn't tow it. Turned that into a $400 Pontiac G6 that had someone smashed into the front of it, kind of like my Ford Fiesta, but they didn't total it. It only had like a few minor issues. But what ended up happening is I drove it. He said he drove it real long distance, like it's still kind of a reliable runner, even though it was banged up, right? I drove it just long enough, and apparently I shouldn't have been running the AC or something because it didn't work. But I was just doing it to get the fans running and like drain out whatever Freon. And to like not smell, like just get the air flushed out of the car so I didn't have to wait for the windows to do it, because I needed to freshen it up. It's a brand I just bought off somebody else. I don't like to just be in their musk. So the AC compressor locked up, which snapped the serpentine. I got stuck at the airport in the middle of a DoorDash. Ended up getting stuck at this mechanic shop that was really nice. And because they saw me living out of the vehicle, they're like, all right, go get him a belt and just get him out of the parking lot. You know, it's a $30 belt and it'll take you less than an hour. We're not losing more than $100 here. You know, one of the guys was really cool and helped me out. So I got out of there, took it to a car wash because I knew it wasn't reliable, popped the belt again, sold it to the same guy I sold the Ford Flex to, same tow truck driver, hooked me up, you know, paid me when he shouldn't have, came back, paid me again. And then of which I found a way to get a Nissan Maxima, okay, and drove the Nissan Maxima as I was getting prepped to where my DoorDash wouldn't lock up as soon as I turned the car off. You know, I needed to do a hardwired, all the time running, not triggered by the ignition switch of the key being turned on or off. Make it to where the motor doesn't need to run in order for me to charge a phone in the Nissan Altima that I just got, so that, you know, as soon as I park, I'm not missing a charge. I was going to go get an AGM battery just to keep the support for the electrical in there, and then maybe one of the first things I was going to do is get an HO alternator to keep up with all my electronic needs, because I can't drive all the time. I can't be wasting gas just to keep a phone alive. And I can't stop long enough anywhere with the car and charge someplace, otherwise I'm going to lose the car. So I need to be on the move, and I need to be able to charge, so that's what I did. As soon as I was wiring it up, I went to brush my teeth after I got finished testing it and wiring it up. A bunch of bums popped out of the bush, said they wanted to fight. I said I'd fight all of them solo. Everyone peeled out except for 3 people, so there was more than just 3 people against one me. They called the cops. Everybody I tell this saying gangs are getting soft these days. I was like, exactly. Softies. Little 911 softy gangs calling the cops as soon as they see my veins pop on my arm. You know, like, oh, this guy's threatening. I had to do a second appearance, request body cam footage, self-defending in Scottsdale court against the Scottsdale court lawyer, who both were suggesting jail time for my non-compliance with the officer, of which the judge said, I can't think of one point in that video where you actually did listen to the officer. But here's the thing. I'm not going to sit in a pile of glass just because the officer wants me to sit down, so they can just, as soon as I move my arm or lift a leg, I now have a new charge they can stack on. You know, I didn't want to make it that easy for them. I'm not going to sit in a pile of glass. Therefore, if you're going to give me stupid orders like that and not deal with me like a human being, I'm going to do my own thing, because I can tell you're not you're not trying to take care of anything. They tried to get me for camping in an alley while I was up and moving around. I was exiting. This is all proven through the body cam footage, of which I got the case dropped. Another instance of me self-defending successfully was in federal Native American court over my GTI that I won with a 30-second spiel on Move Over America, and I got pulled over for a wide turn. It's like, yeah, but someone was pulled over right there. Therefore, I did the Move Over America thing and tried to give a safety lane to the cop, of which the judge favored in my side on that, even after this motorcycle cop stood up and talked about how long he'd been a cop and how he became a motorcycle cop and how there's like years and years of experience and expertise at play here. Got the whole thing thrown out. If they don't take suit with native favoring, they take federal favoring, and I won against a motorcycle cop. Takes a while to become a motorcycle cop. Keep that in mind, all right? So I got a lot to spit out in this video here. There's a lot of wisdom, a lot of proving my point, and everyone says, "Oh, woe is me." I could open up and I could be a law consultant. I could do there's another word for it. I could start a legal. I could tell people whether you could call them. I could put my number out there, a legal advisor. You can call me up. I'll tell you whether, you got to tell me that you know what happened, that you know you're being screwed. Give me a good story that they're actually, messing you over, right? Like, there's people that get arrested for resisting arrest. That should be beatable. You should be able to take that to court. I mean, depending on the situation, but I should be able to talk to people and figure out whether you can go in there and self-defend, not even pay a lawyer, maybe just pay me for the legal advice, very minimum fee. I'm not even going to go into court with you. You got this, And if it doesn't work, then you don't got to pay me. But if it works, you got to pay me. There's got to be a way to do this. Legal advice. Because I've won too many cases simply by showing up in court, because I know. Like, dude, someone tried to run me over in a community center parking lot. I bashed their hood in. They tried to take me to court for criminal damage. I showed up in court, whole thing got dropped. They tried to say I was hanging a cell phone out the window. Or I was hanging a cell phone out the window for video surveillance. They said I hung a firearm out the window. And so I had over 20 guns aimed at me and a helicopter, only to see a judge and have the whole thing dropped because it's just a cell phone. So there's plenty of instances where I could be a good legal advisor. I'll help you figure out what your best bet is. Like if you're really struggling, you can't figure it out, give me a call, try and throw me some money, and I'll help get you through some of this nonsense. But let's see here. So I'm trying to think if I missed any vehicles. I think I got them all. It's a long list. But long video. Thanks for staying tuned. I have plenty more to Flat Straight Edge Ruler Earth. Check out Flat Earth Dave, Fittest Flat Earther. Even though those two clash, Fittest Flat Earther says Flat Earth Dave, who's also from Arizona, is a paid shill. I do favor Fittest Flat Earther maybe the most because of what he does. But you got to give a lot of credit for what Flat Earth Dave is doing and how he's bringing the community together. It's kind of like Facebook for Flat Earthers. Another good one that's on the Flat Earth Dave page to just start with is it does a lot of stuff on airships and how photos are edited to remove airships and how ancient architecture is actually for airships, how they didn't have toilets in old architecture, and how they use either AI wrote all of the stories for all of the old churches, or someone went and just plagiarized this thing, or you're gonna have to believe in flying cities. Like, it's that crazy. Like, how did this guy accomplish so much work, in 1 year on every build all around 1900 all over the world? That's crazy. All with donkeys incorporated, donkeys and horse pulling everything. All the logistics are jacked. We can't even pull these logistics off today, and we're supposed to believe record time, with perfect weather, using donkeys, hammers, and chisel, and no power vehicles at all. And then we're supposed to believe in native peoples, even though we've been reset so many times. It's like, give it up. Give it up, you natives, you black people. Excuse me, but we all came from a petri dish. We're all Cabbage Patch Kids here, all right? Nobody's truly from the land. There were no natural inhabitants. Dinosaurs aren't real. Dragons are real. There's a massive fossilized dragon in the Four Corners near Arizona. Check out Black Dragon Canyon. If that's not enough, if you don't see the shark teeth of that dragon that is Black Dragon Canyon, when they tell you it's named Black Dragon Canyon because of a tiny little flat screen TV sized graffiti job on a massive canyon wall, then you look at it from Google Maps. That's a dirty one. All right, they're not telling you about the real deal, full on shark mouth that you get to hike around inside of, but you don't see unless you check out Google Maps from miles above, right? Scroll down the map. This thing's at least like 100-mile wingspan dragon fossilized, because some dude posted a video. Like, Fittest Flat Earther didn't get hot on this trail until, like, or he just ended up, it's like perfect. Someone made a video, I'm going to use the video, and now I'm going to make mine. I believe he found it because of this video, though. So he takes a video of someone going to the Four Corners, like, look at all these monolithic blocks, you know. This looks like a quarry for some type of, you know, monumental build, like the Great Pyramids. Like, if we got that and we can't explain that, and you're looking at all these massive quarried blocks, what were they going to build if they didn't use them all? You know, we're not seeing them used. We're not seeing blocks that big anywhere used, right? And they won't let you to the section of the Grand Canyon that's named after Egypt. Some people think Egypt is actually Grand Canyon, but let's get past that. Zoom out on all these monolithic blocks that are supposedly quarried. They're massive dragon scales, okay? If you don't believe that, check out what a Leviathan is, or what the Leviathan is. If you're a flat earther and you're onto the whole thing where if you spend enough time in church, talk to the right people that actually read the Bible, they'll tell you the earth is flat all day. All day. This is a religious thing. So don't tell me you go to church if you haven't heard of or you haven't looked into flat earth yourself. That means you don't read the Bible. And you go to church. You trust other people to read the Bible. You don't read the Bible. Because where are you at on this flat earth thing? I don't go to church. I don't read the Bible. And I'm way ahead of you on this if you're not even close on the flat earth thing, because it is a flat earth all day, my friend. I will give you that advice. I will give you that back of the book answer. You just got to go prove it to yourself. Don't take my word for it. Same as Flat Earth Dave. He says that. Don't take nobody's word for nothing. You go prove it to yourself. All right? You'll end up a flat earther because it's the only thing that makes sense. All right? Southern Flight Paths don't make sense unless it's on a flat earth map. Only reason you get tied up in the northern hemisphere is because it's like in a circle, so it like barely differs, but still makes way more sense on a flat earth map. Just give it the time. Everything's disproportioned. The United States is not the largest. Africa would be the largest. The Vatican cut a deal in order to skew the map to make you think that Christianity was prevailing across the entire world, right? Make it look like the United States is huge. Make it look like the northern hemisphere is the place to be. When in all actuality, you need to be in the southern hemisphere so you can realize the earth is flat and understand what's actually going on. But I want to say they occupy the edges and most of the southern hemisphere, and they're cornering everybody into the northern hemisphere as cattle. And to poke and prod you with vaccines, two planes didn't take out the Twin Towers. Those vaccines are not here to help you. They're here to kill you. All right? Anyways, I'm going to try and dump it off at that. I'm trying to drop off as much knowledge and sense as I can. Bear with me on this. I had to do all of this entirely alone while I was homeless, not taking one food stamp over 5 years, not done one program over 5 years. I don't go any of the churches. I don't take handouts. I don't do free nothing. All right? I earn all my stuff. Anyways, I think that's where I'm going to drop everybody off. This is an extremely long video. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for checking out my channel. Please subscribe. Please comment. Please give me thumbs ups. Check out all my shorts. Try and bring me to life. I need 50 subscribers so I can go live, actually make a decent video that, you know, might hook some people, where I can spout things off and it can be airtight. All right? A little more airtight. Anyways, thanks for checking me out. 2on Tuner, leaving you there.